Let's call the meeting to order, please. We're going to stand. Brother Glenn's going to lead us in prayer, and then we're going to pledge allegiance. Glenn, please.
Father, we thank you again for this day, and thank you for all your blessings. And Lord, help us today to follow your lead. And Lord, everything said and done will be pleasing you. Lord, help us to hear your voice. We thank you for all you've done for us. Lord, we know that you've got great things if we'll follow you. And we ask you these things, Father, in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Cameron, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Kathy.
Here.
Mr. Pollock.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Call.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here. Thank you. We'll move right into our agenda, and first on up is citizens' comments. I think everyone knows the routine, so Mr. Denny, come on. More.
As you all know, my name is Denny Hughes. I live at 500 Georgia Avenue. I asked here a couple months ago about pickleball. You guys come through in flying colors. I'm here today to thank you for what the city council, all of you did, and especially Doug. I broadcast this all over the Midwest, what's happened here. And the one comment that everybody comes back and says, when did I meet Doug? And I look back, we met in October, and 4 months later, we have 3 beautiful, fantastic pickleball courts. And they all asked, how did you get it done so quick? And I said, we live in a community, not a town. And that answers the question. So thank you all. Doug, I might be back someday and ask for something, so I brought you a cake. I want to sweeten you up a little, and these plates and forks back there, and enjoy yourself. And thanks again from our heart. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it.
And they are open for business, Mayor, today.
Absolutely.
The doors are open.
Absolutely.
Okay, if we can have cake.
All right. Any other citizens' comments?
Lisa Logan, 402 Maryland. I just want to go on the record as saying that the crosswalk fiasco is back in town. We went through this war with crosswalks in 2006, 7, 8, and 9. They were removed because they didn't work. Now we have more than we had then. If you look at where they have been placed, anybody with eyes can see that it's going to be a nightmare. So I hope you are prepared to battle what's coming with these crosswalks as you did some years ago, because clearly city officials did not learn from the first time around. You have put more danger on the streets than you have fixed.
Any other comments? Citizens' comments? Okay. We will move on. Before we leave, CDC director here, and what Danny said, we want to use that, to take a nice picture of that, put it in the, let people know that they come to town, tourists come to town, they might want to play pickleball over our high school.
We already have it on our website. But
See, there it is. She's ahead of it.
I am.
All right. By the way, to Doug, I've had multiple comments from those that play, thanking me to let you know, appreciate the work that was done to get that done. So, just moving on to the minutes. Is there a motion to accept the minutes by consent, or is there any corrections or additions?
Make a motion to accept the agenda by consent.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. Any opposition? Let the record show that passes 5-0. Okay, regular agenda item. A rather lengthy packet of lot split at 117 Circle Drive. We will have a public hearing. To open the public hearing, I think that the request is very well outlined. Doug, any reason for you want to give just a little short synopsis?
Yes, sir. And Lance from SEC is here if you have any additional questions. It went to P&Z meeting last night. They unanimously passed it it's already 2 lots. They're just reconfiguring the 2 lots in the same size for this new property. So it passed unanimously from the P&Z Council. We've done a similar one down the street from there. I don't believe it's anything of an issue.
Okay. Public hearing is open for those that may have come to question or speak on lot split at 117 Circle Drive. Yes, sir.
Morning.
Morning.
Lance Ross from Southeastern Consulting Engineers. So I'm here on behalf of John Colton, the owner. And Doug gave a pretty good synopsis of what happened last night, so I don't want to beat a dead horse and take up everybody's time. But I did want to mention that prior to, because the agenda does say 1 lot to be split into 2 parcels, and so I just wanted to clarify, which Doug already has, that it's actually 2 lots, just staying 2 lots and being reconfigured. And I know that some similar projects have been denied in the past. When I say similar, I mean a lot split on the agenda. Not 2 lots to stay in 2 lots and be reconfigured. Those have always been approved. There's a few in the area close by, but just to kind of clarify, the ones that have been denied were individual lots, single lots that are being asked to be split and increased density. So I just wanted to make a note that wasn't what's being proposed. The density is actually not proposing to increase, just simply reconfigure the lot lines.
Okay. I had one question while you're there.
Okay.
And on the back of these lots, you're showing an ingress and an egress utility easement. What's the width of that?
So that's 25 feet. In the past, the very first ones we did were the Corey lots. There's 4 of them. There's 2 of them and then the 4th. That had a 10-foot. The next one we brought, we proposed 10 foot. The council didn't like that, understandably. They wanted the council wanted 18 feet. So we increased it to 18 feet. It got approved. And so this one, we're actually proposing 25 feet. So quite a bit more than what was proposed from the city council on the last one.
Okay. And is that number on here?
Yes, sir. That's on.
I'm sure it is. There's so many numbers.
It's labeled L2 on the bottom right, and L1. So the L2 and L1 on each side of parcel A, and then the little table.
It's not on this?
Yes, sir. It's a little table on the bottom right.
Yeah, the L1.
Yes, just 5 feet.
Okay, and I do see L1 on your, and L2 on your, okay. I'm sorry, y'all put a lot of stuff on it. Okay. Gotcha, that's the only question I had. Anybody else?
Does that include, that's the easement with the utilities and the,
And the access. So that'll be so the interior lot, we use that to access. So any building will be south of that 25 feet.
Should that go all the way across?
that's, concern I had, and I talked to him about it, the last one we did, we were worried about somebody coming in here with a boat and a truck and trying to get to this lot, and when they didn't have it but 10, I think 25 foot would be efficient.
Okay.
A lot better than it was.
That's more than the width of some of our paved streets. Thank you, Lance.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else for the hearing? We'll close the public hearing then and go to council. Is there discussion or motion?
Make a motion to approve block split at 117 Circle Drive.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Call?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2, cell tower lease, which is
Sir.
the administrator.
I believe, thank you, sir. This has come to you before. They've asked to come back to talk about buying the lease from us so that they could lease it to whoever uses it going forward. Currently, this lease is, we receive $21,492 annually, and we get 3% on top of that currently. And that lease is good until 2045. So if we do nothing, we still have that going forward. This started in 1995. The kind of overview of this new contract would be a flat rate of $350,000 to the city, or over time, if we took 10 years worth of payments, we would get $423,000. So we would never be able to receive any money following that. That would be as far as we would get any money if we took the 10 years worth of payments. They would own the lease going forward. We would still have to maintain the property as the owner of the property, but they would take over the lease from us. It's about $42K per year, so it almost doubles. But you give up your rights going forward past that 10-year timeline. In 2025, they do propose that if we do nothing, in 2025 they'll be coming back to look to add more years. Generally, when they do that, they pad with some money to re-sign a lease. But so they're good through 2045, and 2025 they'll probably come and ask to add another 20 years to it. My only comment, and it's up to you on however you want to do. My only comment that 5G is coming. So there may be a time when this cell tower is obsolete. So that's the only thing to think about is down the road, 10 years from now, if those payments were over, will we still be using those towers? And I don't know that answer. I mean, the satellites keep going up in the sky and those kind of things. So it may be something that you want to just think about down the road. Maybe my recommendation would be continue the payments that we have right now to not give up our rights to this property and this lease. So if we were cash strapped for the money, I think that would be a different situation. But that's my recommendation, is to maintain status quo, not look at doing this lease at this time. They'll probably be back in 6 months asking again. So that's the two schools of thought. Are we going to have are we going to need cell towers in 10 years? Or do we continue to get the money? So that's the two options. There is 2 people actually leasing that right now, Verizon, that has things on that tower.
Clarification. We're good through 2045.
Yes, sir. And we continue to get $21,492
a year.
per year, and 3% every year on top of that.
Right.
It comes in monthly. It's like $2,300 a month, something like that.
From these people.
Yes, sir, currently. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Council.
Okay, American Towers actually lease it, and they lease it to other people.
Yeah,
Verizon,
yes, sir.
AT&T, and all this. Okay, so we actually deal just with American Towers.
Yeah, we don't mess with anybody. Individual things on top of that tower.
So you don't recommend?
My recommendation is status quo. The only alternative I put in there is if anybody knew something more, that we weren't going to have cell towers in 3 years, it may be something to consider stronger, but I think they'll be back in 6 months again, asking us to do it again, or a year. And then we know for sure in 2025 they'll be back to renegotiate the length of our lease. So I would sit on what we have right now and continue going forward.
That seems to make sense to me.
I'm not in favor for a lease. I'm not. I had one. You cut grass on your own property. You don't want a lease. Is just in fine print, something he can understand. You don't sell it, but it's more binding than you might as well sell it. I'm not in favor of it. I'm not.
If I may, one thing we may do is stay pat right now, but in the meantime, have them send us these proposed agreements, so I can at least review them to see what's in them and whether it's something we even want to consider.
They only gave us 30 days kind of turnaround to get back to them if we were interested or not. So they were just trying to kind of discussion to open the door if there was any influence from the council to move forward on this, and that's
The
basically.
fact that it's an agenda item and if there's no support, do we just move on? Or does it have to have action?
You could just do nothing and stand pat.
And that would be the direction I would take and tell them that we're.
That's what I mean, it doesn't require them to even deny.
No,
No, this is-
no.
That's
You
what
would
I'm talking
not.
about. The fact that it's on the agenda.
Discussion.
Okay, discussion on it, all right? Anybody else? Are we ready to move on? All right, that's what we're gonna do.
Thank you.
All right, number 3, change order for the pier.
All right, so this is, it kind of came up a little bit recently. As you know, with our pier, we have proposed moving it out into the Gulf, to the deeper water, which is great for us. But we need to adjust that ground lease underneath where that new pier is going to be. BDI will take care of this. Dave and his company will take care of this going forward for us. It's just not in our original proposal. It's a change order of $6,000. I don't think we have a choice if we want to do it the way we designed it, and I recommend approval. It's possible that we can recoup some of this money through FEMA as well, but we need to move forward sooner than later.
Agreed.
This is the land under the extension?
Yes, sir.
Why wasn't that done from the get-go?
I don't know that answer because I wasn't here. Maybe Dina.
Yeah, so this is a really good question. We did not think, based on discussions that BDI had in the beginning, that we would have to get a new submerged land lease because we already have one. But since then, we've actually applied for the permit through DEP, and DEP has come back and said, no, you can't use the old one. We're going to ask you to do a completely new one to include the additional piece that is moving seaward.
Sharon, you're probably thinking what I'm thinking. That doesn't make any sense. But I know. I fully understand.
Makes sense.
And, but Dina explains it in a way that you just sort of,
Yeah,
you're supposed to do it because DEP said you're supposed to.
That's right. That's what makes sense.
That's why it makes sense. That's right. That's what I was. Okay. Any other questions? Any other? Okay. We need a motion for a change order of $6,150.
I make a motion, we approve the change order for $6,150 for the extension of the pier and property.
I'll say.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Comments? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy,
Yes.
Mr. Pollak,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Call,
Yes.
Mr. Keith.
Yes.
Okay. Number 4.
All right, so recently, this is related to our planning and zoning board. Mr. Driver had resigned from that board in our January meeting. At last night's P&Z meeting, they didn't have the full board representative, so they decided to table, voted on a chair member to be the chair of the board when they had the full board back at the next meeting, so they tabled that. In the meantime, we do need to replace that alternate position. So we had Mackie Saunders, who's here. He's here today. I've met with him. This gentleman is, as you can see from his application that I put in there, he is, a longtime architect. I won't give away the number of years, but I think it's a great addition to our P&Z board to have somebody of his caliber that knows the rules and things related to land use, and I think it'd be a big help for us. So he's here. If you have any questions for him, I'm just looking for you guys to appoint him to the P&Z board.
Said earlier, Mike, thank you for having interest in our town. You've been around a while. I think that could be a great addition. If you have any questions, she's here. If not, we'll entertain a motion to accept the motion.
That's just consensus. Okay, I make a motion we approve the application for Mackie Sanders. Saunders.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollak?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Call?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Thank you, Mackie, again.
Welcome to the team.
Welcome to the team. That's right. Okay, number 5, that's the CDC update. Before Kimberly does her report, just a few brief comments. The Mexico Beach Community Development Council is a arm of the Bay County TDC. They operate under a board of directors. Kimberly answers to a 7-member board. One of those members is a county commissioner. One of those members is a city council member. They have open meetings, printed agendas, audited books, public participation. They handle they operate off of tourist tax dollars. Needless to say, since post-Michael, their budget has been on life support, and they simply have had some of the things that they have traditionally done for this city have taken a back seat because there's no beds here, and there's no tourists here, and there's no way, their income stream has been drastically changed. When I learned that there was inquiries about the budget in terms of their participation with the city, I decided it'd be a good time to ask Kimberly to come and give a transparent accounting of how they operate with the city, so that those that may be wondering what's going on would hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. But they are an excellent partner with the city and have been for 20 years. Their budget is not our budget. Their budget is their budget. They operate differently in terms of their income stream. They're non-political. So, as me being the person that sits on their board from the city and the county person, I was surprised that inquiries from inside were being made, and I just think it's better that you just hear how they operate financially, things that they've done, and that way there won't be any misunderstanding down the road, because we treasure that relationship. Kimberly, you're up. And I appreciate you coming to do this.
Oh, you're welcome. And I answer to a 9-member board.
9-member board.
It's okay. You're welcome.
That's the way to start out. Get corrected right off.
Sorry. Then I answer to another 9-member TDC board, and then I ultimately answer to the 5-member county commissioner. So I answer to a lot of people. So as the mayor stated, the Mexico Beach Community Development Council, we are comprised of, our funding comes from what's better known as bed tax. It's the tourist development tax. I get 5% on every dollar. So I get 5 pennies for every $1 that is spent on short-term overnight lodging, and lodging only. Lodging can come from either an RV site, a hotel, a motel, a condo, a townhome, those type of short-term lodging properties. And so the county blesses my board's budget as well as our program of work. Our program of work is essentially what we'll refer to as our Bible, how we operate and how we move forward through the years. And our revenue is a forecasted revenue. So if there is nobody coming and staying, I get no money, therefore my budget becomes depleted. So we are continuing to recover, and our revenues are still down 50% of where we were pre-storm in both revenues and inventory. Our budget is a working document, so it is always subject to change, because right after the storm, our forecasted revenue was $790,000. Well, I can tell you I made $33,000 of that $700,000 for that year. So therefore, it has impacted how we have operated, but we have still managed to continue to operate. Big thanks to the Bay County TDC and the county commissioners for ensuring our continued growth in operations during these trying times, because the hurricane is one thing, but then throw COVID on top, and the governor shutting down short-term lodging for a period of 3 months. It really put a strain on our finances and our abilities to do what we do best. We're limited by state statute on how we spend our revenues, and the bulk of our revenues does have to go to marketing, because that's what we are. We're the marketing component for tourism for the Mexico Beach greater area. And when I say greater area, that encompasses those non-incorporated areas of Mexico Beach like Sugar Sands. Those will be our properties to promote. Even though they're not in the city of Mexico Beach, they are our territory. We are still continuing to assist with the city as what for ways. We fully, with the support of the Bay County TDC, fully funded the Inlet Sand Bypass Truck Haul project last year, which was a $155,000 beach nourishment project that cost the city $0. We funded that whole operation thanks to the county and the TDC. We continue to support with beach cleaning, canal dredging. We've done dune walkovers. We've improved boat ramp enhancements. We've done entrance signs, leave no trace, the book exchange, the fishing license for the pier, improvements to the Welcome Center, both old and new, in the properties. And so we continue to, while not stroking a check to the city directly, we're continuing to support the city in other areas as best we can. And so we are currently working on a $20 million full beach nourishment project. Thanks to my, I'll just call it nagging to Mario, Mexico Beach received $5 million from the CDBG-DR grant. We've received $9 million from the state for the beaches and shores operations for this fiscal budget. So we're inching closer to getting that project started. We have pulled permits, we have state permits, federal permits they take forever to look at stuff, but that's the feds, so there we go. So hopefully we hope to start putting shovel to sand this year. And this project, we are hoping will have no upfront costs to the city. We will fully fund this beach enhancement project, which not only enhances our dunes and our shorelines, but also those upland structures, houses, businesses, everything like that. So we also are very appreciative of the city council for replacing our office, the Welcome Center. We do have a lease. We've continued to pay that lease even when there was no Welcome Center there for 3 years. We have paid for all the landscaping on the property. So the city didn't pay for any of that landscaping. That came out of our budget this year and last year. And then we are, continuing to do what we need as far as being good stewards of the community to help assist where we best can and financially can. And so that's just a brief overview of what our operations is based out of and how we move forward and how we operate day to day. I'm happy to help answer any questions. I know some of you have been on council for a long time, seen my face for a long time. And some of you I've promoted your businesses. I have bragged and used your businesses as a stepping stone to help promote the destination as a whole. So I thank you. I love my job. I've been doing it for a while now. And so I love Mexico Beach. My heart's in it. Grew up on the beaches here. And so I want to see its continued success. So, and be a good steward to the city and the county as a whole. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions?
Howard, what's the prognosis for your revenue increase? How are you looking forward to that?
Well,
we got more tourists starting to come.
We are, and as the Driftwood Inn and the Gulf View Motel are slated to open this spring, with the Yellow Governor later on this year, I mean that helps. Last year's revenue we brought in $130,000. This year we're forecasted to bring in $300,000. So we're still upping and still moving forward. But if something happens that I can't predict, I wish I could have predicted oil spill or red tide or a hurricane, and we could have helped change some things, but we, all in all right now, as the forecast is upward. And so as more vacation homes get turned on and more properties become open, I know that the View condominium has been released back over to their owners for them to put them back in vacational lodging if they wanted to. And I think that was actually, the View was the last condo to come back online. And so with the 4 hotels that we had pre-storm, 3 of them are currently working to get back open sometime this year. And then the formerly known as the Rustic Sands, that campground, while currently operating, the new owners are changing its layout, and so it went from 100 unit to, it's got about 40 units that they're leasing right now, just because the owners are making some changes to that property.
Thank you.
If you would speak to the budget line items that you say beach and canal.
Yes, so this year, our board has placed revenue back into the canal dredging and beach cleaning for assistance, whether it be to the city directly or to a third-party approved entity. And so all it really involves as far as our board financially assisting in those line items is just really conversation and proof that it has happened, and it's on a reimbursement style payment plan. As far as, we need proof because I get audited by the TDC, I get audited by the county, and then I get a third party audit. So I can see that you're dredging and I can see that you're raking the beach, but my auditors don't see that. So I just have to have some sort of verification that it's done, and then we can, we have it in our program of work to support those 2 line items as well as other beach operations. And we are, happy to help and work towards that, end goal of ensuring our waterways and our beachways are pristine and inviting year round. Yeah.
Anybody else? Doug, you got any questions?
No, I'll reach out to her separately about how the verification process works for the beach and the canal and the paperwork for that, and I can work on it.
Yes.
I wanted to add something. I just wanted to say I've worked with Kimberly for a while with Mexico Beach, and there's so much that goes on behind the scenes in terms of going after grants. So just wanted to give her kudos because she really did fight. We know that after Hurricane Michael, our beach has changed, and certainly in front of the El Governor, it's eroding. So she has great connections through the TDC in Bay County with the state of Florida in terms of going after that $20 million for beach renourishment, and has been very, very aggressive on that front. So just wanted, that doesn't always get out there. So thank you.
No, thank you. I mean, I told the director of somebody, FEMA or Corps, someone like, listen, if Mexico Beach doesn't have a beach, then there is no Mexico Beach. It's in our name, so you have to help our shoreline get back to where it was and then beyond that. So yes.
Can I follow up with one more question?
Sure.
Do you manage the VRBOs and the short term? That's short term, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the VRBOs, the city has a tax that we get. It's like $4 a room.
That's a county tax. That's my bed tax. It's 5% on the dollar. I don't manage those. I can't tell you if Mr. Smith rents his home out. They are safeguarded by state statutes. It's not hard for hotels to hide because they're there. But for single VRBOs, I can only do what I can. The clerk of court has all that knowledge, but it's privy to only certain entities, and unfortunately the city is not privy to that information. I'm not privy to that information, so.
We collected $20 last year for the entire city.
But I think that's your occupational.
Yes,
that's not.
I know. I didn't know if there was
some
kind of form that she has where people have registered them with her that maybe that we need to read. I was just going to look into something for that because for some reason we're not doing it, or maybe we're not involved in it somehow. I was just wondering how she was involved in that. That's all I need.
Well, it's self-reported, whatever you run into. Anything else? Kevin, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
I got
All right.
Alright. Yes,
Trying to get you out of
It's
there.
okay.
I probably won't see you later, man, but you did say something caught me. You fishing license
Yes, sir.
at the,
On the pier, yes.
I just found that out this week, a man asked me,
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't have to have fishing license fishing the canal.
They do. Our fishing license that we purchased for the state on behalf of the city only guaranteed that they could fish off the pier without having a fishing license, whether they were in-state or out of state. The canal area was never inclusive of that license. A long time ago, when I first started, the city had their own fishing license. I believe it was for $10 that they sold that allowed them to fish off the canal area right there along the seawall. I'm not sure if that's still in effect, but that was, I mean, when I came in.
We renewed that permit in July. It's like $500 for us to renew that. We renewed that in July. I verified that after we spoke the other day with the gentleman. But we do have that applicable. As far as I understood, it included our canalway. But I'll double check on that.
But when you get the pier back, I'll be happy to buy that fishing license again.
I promise you I won't say nothing else. I just noticed a man hit me up about it, and then I called the game board, and when he got through, I didn't understand it, so.
Here's the way that works.
I did talk to him.
I'll give you the short version.
Give it to me.
When the fishing license, when the $500 initially covered the pier and the inland portion of the canal. If you were fishing on the rocks, you had to have a fishing license. They did not allow it to cover, you wouldn't think it, I mean, it's not simple, okay? So it got very confusing for the fishermen. But yes, you could fish in the canal, anywhere you could walk along our walkway and the pier. That $500 license covered that.
And we renewed that in this past July.
I don't know if that answers the question. But needless to say, pier is coming back and we want to keep that. So we don't have to charge. And Kimberly did, the CDC bought that license.
Yeah,
Paid
for
that.
the pier portion, yeah. We're gonna check with the state for the.
But now, you're saying now they've changed with did I misunderstand you? If you're on the concrete pad, the walkway around the canal, does that $500 license not cover that now?
I understand that it covers that, sir.
Yeah. That was what, okay.
So that's tied in canal and pier again.
That's the way I understand it, yes, sir. And
Good.
we thought hadn't renewed it, but we had. We verified that. We paid that this past July, so we're covered.
Any other comments for CDC? Kimberly? Thank you very much.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Moving on. Number 6.
Project list.
That's project list, okay?
All right, sir. So the first one on the list is a credit card machine. Move that one out of the alphabetical order. It is the first thing we're going to talk about. So the good news is we had concrete scheduled for 2.5 weeks out. We did run into some concrete possibly today. That'll be filling that thing up today, weather permitting. So Tommy and his team will be working on the credit card machine as well as that sidewalk that needs repaired. We have a March delivery of the credit card machine scheduled, and hopefully we get the pad squared away, everything squared away shortly, so we're ready to put it up as soon as it gets here. 8th Street bathrooms.
Early March or late March?
Early or late March, did they say?
I heard that thing.
I thought it was March 23rd was the date, but I didn't want to say that.
I've heard a little bit later in March, yes.
Late March.
Towards the end.
I was sticking with March. We're pestering them, yes, sir.
I'll verify.
8th Street bathrooms are under design phase again with SCE. Lance and his team are doing that as well in conjunction with Parker Park, 8th Street, and the Under the Palms Park for those facilities to look the same. 15th Street bridge repairs. The bid closing will be on March the 3rd. That's out to bid right now currently. We've not had any questions about it, but we bid that once before, and we got one bid that showed up late. So for transparency, we rebid it and let that bidder know that they need to reapply. So That will be closing
Well,
on.
that's the bridge on the curve.
Yes, sir. That's just the guardrails. It's about it's just a project right up the corner. It doesn't have anything to do with the possible pedestrian bridge or none of that. It's just it's just the actual bridge. Additional boat ramp parking. The millings are being moved now. Every chance that Tommy and his staff get to go over there and move those, they continue to move them. We are going to be looking for a grader when we get a little further down, kind of spread those out. They're a little too thick the way we have them now, but we're working on that. The boat ramp expansion. We're actually working on our grant proposal right now. We're looking for, I'm actually working around with some folks in the city, trying to get some letters of support that turn that in with our grant proposal that just shows good community action, and that's what's really wanted. It helps us get some more points for that grant. So I'm looking for letters of support for that to go along with that grant proposal, but we're working on that now. Canal dredging, I spoke with Jim again this morning. His staff are working hard with Crowder Gulf. It's approximately 3,700 cubic yards is what he's gathered that we've gotten so far out of the 23,000 that were allowed. And they are supposedly to be under 98 the start of next week. They're going back around Miramar now. They finished the city docks, and they're going back to that one corner all the way down to the corner of Salt Creek there, where Miramar and all those are. So he was estimating somewhere around 6,000 or something cubic yards by the time we get under 98. So that's kind of under budget from what they had proposed. But they did get quite a bit out of where we are in the city dock. So those all look great right now. Citywide stormwater repairs. FEMA continues to have that at a review for that bid that we received. It was significantly larger than what they initially told us that we could have. So they're going through the actual numbers to verify that how much of the need is. The citywide street paving. The cold weather and rain for the asphalt companies has slowed it down. He plans to be back next week. I harp on him every day just because of the uneven lanes and how they left it and some of the stuff that needs to be kind of looked at when he comes back, that it wasn't really done very well. But he's going to assures me that he will fix that, and he has stood by everything that he has done so far. The DOT right-of-way, the north side of the shoulder work, and the crosswalks, as you know, they're underway. I did not have any kind of time frame about the trip hazards. They kind of seem to be focusing on the crosswalks now because that company, but the same company is doing both. The dredge purchase, as you know, in the last meeting was ordered. We're expecting a December of 2023 delivery, but we are in line. Speaking of that, it's not on this list, but you guys did an amazing thing by funding the trash truck purchase last year when we talked about it. There's probably 30 people past us in that line, and we're supposed to get ours in June. So fingers crossed that we get it around that time frame. But he said if orders are still coming in, he's got it pushed off 2 more years. So you guys did a great thing by funding that early. So I'll keep you posted on that. The jetty, we've submitted to DEP and Army Corps of Engineers our project, so we're waiting to hear back from them. The manhole covers is out to bid for a second time. We did not receive any bids the first time. We promoted it a little bit more. We had a lot of questions coming in both times, so we expect to get a bid this time. The marina and the boat ramp pavilions and facility repairs. I spoke with North Florida this morning, and they're supposed to continue framing this week on at the boat ramp, and then they will move over as well on Thursday to work on setting the columns and concrete over at the pavilion on Canal Parkway. They did make a pretty good advance with the decking and stuff. If you've had a chance to look at that, it's attached to the center of the earth. I still say that it's going to be strong. Boat slips covered with lists. The bids are due on February 22nd. We did bid out to where we could have kind of almost like a design build for somebody to put in a bid for 5 of them. So we'll see what comes back from there. I did get some interest from a couple current bidders, and they're looking into it. Parker Park, I mentioned the SEC is under design phase for the restrooms and things of that nature. We will be working on a task order going forward with Dewberry to kind of get all the FEMA repairs done at the same time. The Parker Park Waterway, I got kind of a question for you folks today. I proposed to David with Dewberry to work on a task order for us on one version, which is where he gets the permits pool for filling in of that portion. And the second option would be a deck, kind of like a 100 by 100 deck that would cover that far end down there where we could put a pavilion where people could also walk across it as well from one side to the other. So he's working on that to get back to me so you guys can kind of see, maybe we think about what kind of budget we're talking about for that project. That could be something we could use our impact fees for parks to do that because it'd be funding a new item for a public park. On a side note, there's the property back behind there, the Sweetwater. I did meet with those folks yesterday, and they're interested in maybe relieving some traffic from more where the residential things are and helping with that road going from By Parker Park and connecting, because it has a fence along one side. They'll be bringing back some information on that, and when they do that, they could help us with our filling in, they could help us beautify that park, because that'll be the main thoroughway for them to come in. I think it's a win for the city. So we'll see what they represent when they come back to the council, but that would be kind of an artery for them to go into their neighborhood back behind there. So we'll see that when that comes back, but that could be an option. The pickleball courts, thank you to Denny for his compliments for the staff. Tommy helped coordinate a lot of those guys that were working with that. I really didn't do much other than lip service. They took care of all the, make sure he had water. Joel did an amazing job. I tell you, when that guy pulled up in a truck to do those courts, I kind of thought, oh God, what did I get into? And that guy is just first class. I mean, everything that he did over there, they're done perfectly. And then some. He fixed some of the membranes, oversaw some of the cracks, so we won't see the cracks coming back through. There is a guy coming next week to fix the fence, to put a gate, give us a quote, to put a gate in and then fix a couple pieces of fence where it's been messed up around the outside. But that project is going very good. We're working on a ribbon cutting. I got a couple signs that'll go on each gate being ordered that'll thank Duke Energy for their money for that. And I'd like to do a ribbon cutting. Julie's got some scissors she's not allowed to run with, really big ones, to formally do that. But it is open for people to use, but we would like to have the council there to kind of thank Duke Energy. That might help us going forward with some more, so for some other things that we might do. So it's always good to thank those folks. The pier, we continue to wait on our permits. They're supposed to be on track for June or July this summer. And we also talked earlier today about the land lease. The police and fire municipal building, I want to leave that for Atkins report. So Dina's going to present on that one under the department reports related to our meetings we had last week. On top of that, Clint is working on the annexation application to annex that, since we've purchased it, to annex that into the city. So that'll be all city areas. So we're working on that behind the scenes right now. Our streetlights, I know I reached out to Danny Collins and talked to him a little bit. They're going to start on February 21st on Colorado. They're also looking at 14 lights along Canal Parkway to put those up. Those were supposed to go up before the storm and never did. We haven't been charged for any of that kind of stuff. He's got a photometric study underway. It probably takes about a total of 2 weeks. They actually do a snapshot of the city and where we have a light everywhere, and then it'll show, we'll be able to bring back and decide at a staff level, possibly review for you guys on if we have too many lights in certain spots or not enough lights in certain spots, but we'll have an idea of what we need going forward from that point. So that is underway. But we do have 2 projects that are on the list to get started. One on Canal Parkway, and I did mention to them that we're repaving that eventually as well. So once that project gets further down the street. Sunset Park, I met with Vonovic this morning, Charles, and his team over there. They're actually pouring concrete on site today. They got that huge pumper. They are first class on everything they do. And they'll have that squared away today with their concrete for their the slab underneath. The surge gate is still under review. Haven't made any progress on that. Under the Palms Park, we discussed about the bathroom design. We also are working on the irrigation portion of that to make sure that we have irrigation out to the outsides. That's in the design as well. And I'd be excited to have the bathroom started soon. Underwater debris removal, we're closing out our first phase where we decided what was out there in the Gulf. And now we're waiting on our new permits for the second phase, which is where we have the funding to help remove any refrigerators or stuff that's still out there, pieces of the pier and things like that. So that project is still continuing to move forward. So I know it was a lot. We have a lot on our agenda. We continue to work hard, and if there's any answers I can give you for some of the things that I kind of rattled through, if I went too fast, please let me know.
On the pickleball, where we at as far as the tennis court being where the basketball court is?
So we're working on design for that. We need to work on funding as well on how we're going to pay for that. The portion that we had received was enough to pay for the first courts. We talked a little bit about that last night with some residents, but on how it would operate with the tennis and the basketball at the same time. I'm interested to find out almost what the need is going forward when you see how busy it's going to be, what we need to do next. So I'll be bringing back a proposal to you guys, but I have the net still, we kept the net, we have all those items to be installed, everything that we need for that, and we can do that, but the lining and things like that, I have to gather funding for that first.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? You did good. You got no questions? All right, action report.
Good morning. So this is going to be a little different than when Ryan does it, because I'm not Ryan. I'm just going to send you a summary of where we are with police fire, and then also kind of recap our meeting last week with the FEMA administrator. So I think most of you are aware that police fire is the one project that the city is still fighting with FEMA about in terms of eligibility and getting obligation. So FEMA did issue a determination memo 2 weeks ago, which is essentially them saying, this is what we'll allow, here's your last argument dollar amount. So our options now are to move forward with an appeal, which we've already had some discussions with the state, with FDM, because ultimately that appeal, even though we'll be presenting it, the state will have to actually submit that to FEMA on our behalf. After those discussions, we've gotten confirmation that the state absolutely will support us on the appeal, so we feel good about it. We also think effort-wise, we've actually, through this process, already gathered most of the documentation. It's simply making our arguments and providing everything in a one package deal to FEMA. So that's kind of where we're at. There's no guaranteed timeline on how long the process takes, but FEMA does have a certain amount of time. We have to submit within 60 days. And then the state has a time frame to modify it and review it. And then once it's submitted to FEMA, they have a specific time frame to review it. If they don't respond, then we can go to arbitration, which takes it out of FEMA's hands completely. And there's an independent board that will review what we submit. So we still have several steps and options for that project, and we're not saying that it's a dead end, but we feel that the state would support us in that process and have a good shot. So kind of on the heels of that, as you all know and met, the FEMA administrator from DC was down to Mexico Beach in Bay County last week. We toured several places within the city, and then we were able to have a roundtable discussion with both the director of FDM from the state, as well as the Region 4 FEMA director, and then of course Administrator Criswell. So obviously during that discussion, we took advantage of the opportunity to dive into the police fire, and we were able to boil down to the administrator what we really need to be able to get that project obligated and actually make a relocation happen. And I think it was a positive meeting in the sense that she was writing down notes and listening carefully to what we were saying. And the state was, again, backing us and this argument that maybe FEMA should look at it again, that there's still an opportunity to get the relocation approved. So overall, we think it was a positive takeaway, and we're very hopeful that that will result in, hopefully, kind of a change in attitude from FEMA Region 4 regarding that project. Oh, and then the other thing, so the administrator did say, kind of at the end of our meeting, she thinks Mexico Beach is a case study for how to recover and implement resiliency and mitigation systematically across the entire city. One thing that we told her is that almost every single project the city has implemented post-Michael in terms of the city's infrastructure has included additional funding for 406 mitigation, which is kind of unheard of. She was very surprised to hear that. So you've done well.
One thing to add is they went to Panama City after they left here, and she continued to brag on Mexico Beach and how well you guys have done in the rebuilding process. So it was stuck in her mind to when she met with Mexico Beach. And then I also got reports from people that were at the conference that she spoke at the next day, and she continued to speak about Mexico Beach. So we did a great impression on her, and I think, you know, taking her to the fire station and showing her the water line, I got in her mind a little bit. So that's all good news for us.
You've dealt with them a lot, Dina, of course, and you kind of understand their language, and kind of when they nod, they don't nod, what that means. What do you think she felt about if we don't, we're not gonna quit on it, I think she got that idea, correct? And the state's gonna back us by not quitting, and it could go to arbitration, so do you have any kind of feel, you think that really kind of sunk in and will help us?
I do. I do. I mean, she obviously can't say, I'm going to
Sure.
fix this. But I think she has a lot of influence. I think it was maybe just as important, not that just she was there, but also the FEMA Region 4, which is the region of FEMA we're directly dealing with. She was also there.
Sure.
And I could tell that some of what we were bringing up was a surprise to her. So I think having those discussions and finally being able to break through the technical review and talk to individuals at FEMA that can kind of push from the top down, I am very hopeful because there's certainly a compromise that we haven't reached yet. And I think part of it is just, getting the right energy and momentum to really want to find that compromise. So I think I'm hopeful.
Well, and for me personally, as a councilman and being there, thank you. You guys, you and Ryan did a great job. And I think you stated our case very well. It certainly impressed me, and so thank you.
Well, we've had a lot of time to think through it.
Yeah.
But, yes, you're
I
right.
agree with Darryl on that. I thought y'all done wonderful.
Thank you.
Yep. She was impressed.
She was.
It was obvious.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. Clint, you have anything to report today?
Nothing specific, Mayor.
Okay. You're up again.
All right. I got some water, I'm good to go. So this should help, kind of what we spoke about at our last meeting, kind of condensing some of the staff reports. So I'll go through a couple of the things. Parker Park is underway. Thank you to Tommy and his staff in Public Works. They've graded that out, packed down the dirt in the back, so we have additional parking that we didn't have before. We're going to be set up for the farmers market on Saturday. We've been meeting with Sarah, and I appreciate the CDC on what they've been promoting for us. She was on the news. She came and did an interview with Channel 13 last week. And, she's invested in getting it going. So we're working on a couple of food trucks to have that morning. It'll be on the 2nd and the 4th Saturday at Parker Park. So the electric's getting hooked up this week, and it's just going to be great. It'll be nice to see people out and about again. I'm hoping the weather looks as good as it does right now. It'll be a little chilly, but we'll be just fine. And then Parker Park is also the site for the Gumbo Festival the following weekend. And so it's just, we're gonna get a lot of use right there in the city center. So it'll be great for us. But thank you to the Public Works team. So we're also working with Bay County. So Bay County offered to do some ditch cleaning for us. So they have one of these things, I call it a mixie muck. It looks like a spider, legs on each side of the ditch. They're gonna come and do that for us for free. The problem is, and Tommy met with them to go over some of those where we needed it the most, to dig them out, to scope them all out. It'll be like August or September before they can run their schedule. August before we're on their schedule. So we're going to work on some of our own as well, but that is something that they're going to do for us to help us work on our drainage. So they're getting that moving. I don't know if you noticed or not, but we had several staff members over at the stormwater culvert on Maryland and Wysong. We did our kind of annual cleaning there, kind of opened it up. Troy and his guys, we kind of had a safety feature on one end where the FEMA, I guess, the storm, had knocked down the gates, so bigger stuff or possibly people could get underneath in the drain. So Troy and his team put up the gates back up so it keeps all the bigger items out of there, and then we're kind of cleaning it out on the inside and getting sucked up, so we're ready for the rainy season whenever that does come. So that thing is too big for us. So we're going to actually clean out the ditch too a little bit. We've got a machine to go in there to kind of get that. There's muck kind of sitting there waiting, so we'll get that cleaned out. Some of the items on for the fire department, just so you know, they have the ISO inspection. It's coming very quickly. It's going to be in March, on March 9th. They're working on all their trainings to make sure they have everything logged and documented. Sandy's been working with the fire chiefs over in Bay County and Panama City to make sure that they're all on the same page, because they're doing everybody when they come into town. So it'll be a big inspection for us. They've actually been a good help for us as well from our utilities team. They're doing confined space training that was done on the 28th last month. And the water department was able to get down in the hole, so now we don't have to pay somebody to come up do that. We have all the equipment to do that. It just needs more practice. So the team will continue to work together to keep us trained on that so we can do that ourselves. We're actually working on our SCBA testing where we have the self-contained breathing apparatuses. We're getting those squared away. That'll be part of our ISO training. And the fire department is fully back to work. We're free to clear of COVID in that department, knock on wood. So they're all back in action. There was a report put in front of you about the utilities department. The line locates seems to continue to be one of our greatest things that we're doing. He does this for your review each month. I just thought if I'd bring across any kind of anomalies and things like that. And currently, we're working, I told you before, we're working on trying to be more proactive for our lift stations. We're working on a map check system where they can actually go out and check them daily to make sure that they're all clean and functioning and running so we don't get a surprise. We've got a plan going on that. Actually, this week, Julie in the office found an extra Tough Book, one of those nice heavy-duty ones that we can use in the utility department so they can have that out and check things with their Wi-Fi signal from their phone. So that's a good thing for us. So we're actually continuing to trying to be more proactive for that so we can avoid any kind of issues. And they're actually working through their program on the south side of 98 to kind of help move some of the meters back that had been destroyed. We're working on our program. We have not been issued any kind of consent order related to our backflow yet, so we're continuing to move forward. We have a guy working on a bid for us, so if, let's say, for example, you owned a business and you needed to have a backflow printer on, you didn't know who to call, we would have somebody that has a competitive bid that we could say, if you want to use this, you can, or we could do it for you, put it on your bill. So we're working through that process and how we would advertise that if we wanted to do that, but that's just to help keep us in compliance. We also have, Marty's back in the back if you have any questions that you can see the Sheriff's Office report. I like the fact that you can see, year over year, January of this past year versus January of the year before. So you can see the calls for service are down. The miles are about the same on their vehicles. And they continue to give a lot of warnings and helping our folks out. You can see 46 warnings the year before January versus 8 this year. So I think that date is wrong. It should be January 31, sorry. January 1 through January 31. Running total, excuse me. So if there's any questions, he's here to get any answers on that, or if you have anything for Tommy in the Public Works Department. But I think we're continuing to move forward. We're back on track. We will receive my every other week update now that we're back on our schedule of our meetings.
Good question.
Staff continues to work hard. We recognized our first responders yesterday. We had a big cake, and everybody likes cake, so if you didn't, you must have heard about that. Okay. But we had cake for all, for everybody, all the employees of the city of Mexico Beach are first responders, in my opinion. Whether it's making sure your bills are getting paid or making sure that fire and life safety. So we did recognize them all, and it was a good turnout yesterday afternoon. So the staff is working very hard.
Good. You may have last time, if you would mention just the new employee.
So
name, just her name, and she's on board. And
yes, sir. She started Vanessa. She works in our office. She's our utility person. So if you come in the front door, you'll see her on the left. She sits where Julie used to be. She's training with Sherry as well as Julie on what she's going to be doing. She's also going to help Tommy and the fire department and the code enforcement department on processing of the citations to get out faster should we need them, or the letters, and tracking of all of our information. So she's got a lot of stuff ahead of her, but she's a super nice lady, and she's doing a great job so far. So we're excited to have her.
Okay, and you mentioned you didn't have anything on code, but I'm surprised there's not anything on code.
I forgot. Oh, pardon me. We've started our God's House demo. They did the asbestos testing last week. There was a little bit of a problem with the house that's on Peter Road, the 37, that condo that's still standing there, the townhome. FEMA gave us money to do A, and that's B, so that's not going to work. So we're still in the same pattern where we're taking her to, the attorney's office is working with her to get that removed, but there's no change in that. I asked Ryan if there was a way to appeal that, and he said no, but that A has already been demoed, and that's B. Code enforcement continues to move forward with we've been trying to do some cleanup, some more cleanup with like fences around trash cans and working with some of the RV situations that I did the Living Water Church there on 98. We actually worked with them yesterday, actually helped them push in one of the slides to get that RV moving forward to be removed. It should be this week and be gone there on 98. So they're getting that ready for travel. I haven't had anybody, I had one person, come in and talk about the RV process that we did last meeting. And I kind of cleared them up on when they had to come in with their permits and be going vertical. This is actually one that was doing a remodel, and they couldn't live in it because of the mold, so they were in an RV outside. We have a couple others that are really adamant that they're not moving, so we've moved forward to the attorney's office with that one, and going. They're not moving, so we have to go the legal route for that portion. So it's they're not taking when we send a letter to them, they're not accepting them, So it's just the fines have been put forward and imposed, so that when they go to pull a building permit to do whatever they're going to do, they have to pay that first. So
what about the special master's process?
The good news for that, we're trying to handle it in-house first before it goes to that special master process, because we have a way to impose these fines before it gets to that point. Maybe if Clint's very familiar with code enforcement, where he's done it in Gulf County, so maybe if you wanted to add anything, please do.
Well, in Port St. Joe, we do primarily everything goes to the special master in terms of how we condemn buildings and stuff like that. We have a little bit different process here that I'm familiar myself with, and we're going to take care of it however we have to do it.
So it's, I guess because we spent so much time discussing a special master process to expedite those that we couldn't get any movement on. I'm just more, we
found an easier way.
Is that wheel spinning? Or we found an easier way?
I found an easier way, a way that I'm more used to with abatement. So when like for the house on 37th, on a pier road, that town. So there's a way with abatement where we can have it, if they don't demo it in time, it's exactly the way it worked on Miramar. They ended up taking that down themselves. We didn't have to go that, because if we took it down, I was going to put it on their tax roll and they'd have to pay it by next year. If you do a special master, they put a fine that'll go on the property, they'll kind of sit there until they sell it, and we still have to pay it out of pocket. So if I'm able to tear down the building and hit the tax money where I can get it back in the next year, or they do a payment plan like has happened before to get it paid off in a reasonable amount of time, then we can go forward that way, as opposed to a special master. I'll hit them with $7,500 and it may cost me $10,000 to tear it down. It's the option. That's the maximum fine for that. So we're trying all avenues first. But no, he is Dana. He's engaged. He's done a couple processes for us that really kind of woke some people up.
The process you're describing, is it part of an ordinance that defines how that works? The special master is. The special master is part of the land development code.
Yes, and we're not outside of any kind of rules where we actually can go after them for the abatement, because especially when it's an unsafe structure. So that's the ones that I'm really dealing with, was when the building department goes out and tags it with a red tag and says this is unsafe. That's how I can get to the abatement process. When I have other issues like that RV and stuff, that's where we're going to be pushing for the special master. But yes, we're following the correct rules.
Okay.
It's just two different items.
While we're talking about it, I got to ask. Waters Drive. God's house.
Yes, sir.
Where are we?
So they did they came in and did the asbestos testing on it, and they had to send something off to somebody to double check because it had something in the siding. So we're engaged with the money to pay to do that with Kaiser Storm. Is underneath the current contract, so he's working through that process now. It shouldn't be long. They just have to go through the proper channels. That asbestos thing is important with FEMA to get the money back to make sure we do it the proper way. So it's going to be gone soon, and a lot of that other little stuff around there will get cleaned up at the same time.
Okay. Questions? Are you through? I mean, you done?
You have talked enough, yes, sir. Sorry.
All right. Council, any comments? Bob?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yes, Subway is, but
You're cash only.
Kind of.
and your cash is better than that. So we can't, I won't want to just tell, I didn't know, I went this weekend and they was open, I was glad to see it, I think that's going to be a good asset. She's doing a good job.
I got it. I'm here, you got anything? Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you everybody for coming.